Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Shalom, shalom, peace. It's your brother Amath. I acquired first name. IQ is all the same. You've reached DSTM. Don't shoot the messenger. It's number episode 162, I believe. 160 deuce in the house, right? It's a hump day. Hopefully everybody's well, man. When you walked in here, when you digitally strolled up to my door, did you wipe your feet? Did you wipe your feet before you came in? Please do so. We're battling harder than ever, man, to stay relevant out here, man. A lot of forces is riding up against us. I know it sounds repetitive, but it's the truth. It's the truth, man. Many of y'all been on my lives and seen some of the folly that goes on. But it is what it is. The fight continues, the journey continues. Um in light of I said to myself, man, I'm kind of done with the bandwagoning. Not so much bandwagon. I mean, it's relevant information, the Kanye Kyrie situation. Yay, all of a sudden, you notice he's kind of slid out the spotlight, and Kyrie now is taking the mantle of being openly persecuted out here in these digitized streets and in the you know, in the world of sports. And it's mainly because of those six requirements that the New Jersey Nets had put on the table in order for Kyrie to be accepted back within the team and fit in the standards. In other words, they needed him to be re-educated. They needed him to be publicly humiliated. They wanted him to denounce his beliefs. They want him to denounce history, DNA, archaeology, anthropology. They want him to denounce all of this in a open case of buck breaking. Right. I seen even Nick Cannon, had decided to come out and speak in on behalf of Kyrie as he sat down with the ADL GMO Small Hat and had a discussion. And the GMO Small Hat didn't even know what buck breaking was. As Nick Cannon was telling him that that's what he saw with the situation with Kyrie. And he said this is a case of buck breaking. They're trying to openly humiliate and demasculinate Kyrie. And the GMO Small had said, "Oh, buck break. What is that? I'm not familiar with the term." But here they are claiming to be the people of the book who've experienced the cursings of Deuteronomy 28, but can identify with or understand the terminology and the history of an oppressed people. I mean, you would think if that was you, you would want to study and understand all oppressed people since you're the one who's most oppressed, right? No, 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 that they can't do that. Very interesting stuff going on, man. I mean, we've got to talk about the coonery, buffoonery, and the hypocrisy that is going on amongst mainly I'm going to focus in on, as many others have already, focusing in on Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley, man. Uncle Ruckus and Stephen from Django. These two cats, man, I mean, have tried to prove their loyalty so much to White Zaddy that they got literal diarrhea ish dripping off of their noses. I mean, when they blow their nose, poop comes out, man. Can you imagine? I guess Shaq doesn't want to give up those Five Guy deals and his movie theaters and the Pete Papa Johns and the Icy Hots and all of his other endorsements, man. You know, it was an interesting meme, man. Some brothers that showed me of both of them cats, man, dressed as women in comedic sketches. It's always funny to put a 7'1", 350-pound black man in a dress. It's always funny to put a 6'6", 300-pound black man in a dress. You know, what better way to demasculinate or emasculate, I should say, emasculate some of the strongest athletic figures in our culture and break them down like that. And now the fact that here they are coming out, participating in the open lynching of their brother. Let's get to the scriptures. I want to share a scripture with y'all, man. You know, the title is "The Tale of Hypocrite Coons and Uncle Tom's Explained." This is nothing new within our community, man. We're gonna go all the way back to the time of Maccabees. Let me go back to the Maccabees with you. We'll cover this more in the future in regards to our holy day known as Feast of Dedication. You know, the same one that the GMO small hats are calling Hanukkah. You know, where they made up some extras. Where they've got a 9 candle menorah, 8 candle menorah. You know, just making up all kind of foolishness, man. Oil burning all night. That's a whole nother topic. Let's look at this chapter right here, man. First of all, I want to look at this. I'm gonna read down a little bit, man, and then we're gonna get to some of the information articles that I want to share. Okay, Second Maccabees, the 4th chapter, and the 1st verse. This Simon, now of whom we spake afore, having been a betrayer of the money and of his country, slandered Onias as if he had terrified Heliodorus and been the worker of these evils. So let's see who. Hold on, let's go to chapter 3, and we're gonna read the 4th verse, I believe. Let's see, so you can find out exactly who's he talking about. Who's this Simon? Okay. uh Second Maccabees 3, and we're going to read 1 down to 4. Now when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well, because of the godliness of Onias the high priest and his hatred of wickedness. Hear that again before we go back to chapter 4, so you can understand who these brothers are. These are Israelites that we're talking about: Onias, Simon. Okay, we're going to hear about other brothers like Menelaus and Jason. These guys are all Israel, but you got one guy, Onias, who's standing up for righteousness, hates wickedness, stands on truth, right? And under his watch as high priest, this holy city was full of peace and the laws was being kept. Keep that in mind. It says, it came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnify the temple with their best gifts. So you even had other kings of the within the Greek nation. You know, you have vassal kings, man. Kind of how they got things set up here. You got governors and whatnot. You know, different districts and different lands that were given rulership over. Remember, the kingdom of Greece was split up into 4 kingdoms of the 4 generals of Alexander. We'll talk about them another time. You're talking about the Seleucid kingdom. We're talking about the Ptolemies. We're talking about the Cassander, Lysimachus. These are all the 4 generals. Their kingdoms were split, and that they had rulership around the country, the kingdom of the Greeks. But nonetheless, Onias is a high priest, righteous brother, man, who's standing up for truth, a defender of his people, and to the point to where he was even being respected by the heathen kings, right? Insomuch that Seleucus of Asia, of his own revenues, bear all the costs belonging to the service of the sacrifice. So here you got the Seleucid king. Seleucid said, I'll even help pay for the righteous sacrifices that Onias is doing. I like how them Jews is getting down, man. Them brown and black Jews over there, man, they really got their stuff together, man. I love how they honor and worship their father, man. They keep laws, they keep order, they don't cause us no problems. Even paid for our sacrifices. But look at this. But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about disorder in the city. And when he could not overcome Onias, he got him to Apollonius, the son of Thracius, who then was governor of Celesyria and Phoenice. So if you keep reading down, you're going to see a conspiracy developing because here you got Simon of the tribe of Benjamin. He's got no business even trying to discuss what goes on with the temple, but he's governor over the temple ordinances or whatnot, right? So he's got a political position, and now he's talking about disorder in the city. Really, what he wanted was more power, more control, and he wanted to be having a say so in regards to the priesthood. But Onias, being a righteous brother, man, stood up to him. So here we got struggling and strife amongst brothers. And now you got one who's actually going out to conspire to come up against Onias. Now, go back to chapter 4 and verse 1. Now look and see what happened. I suggest you, brothers and sisters, man, read chapter 3, chapter 4. I mean, read all of Maccabees, but in particular to follow along with what's going on today, make sure you read chapter 3 and chapter 4. Don't sleep on this history. This is your history, my history. This is what Kyrie is talking about when he's saying that we have to, the millennial generation, his generation, has to do better in breaking the paradigm of ignorance and folly, embracing all of the negative stereotypes. We got to get out there and actually build up righteous leadership, changing the course of direction in which our people is going in is leading to a cesspool of death and destruction. He's saying, look, it's 2022, man. Information is available. We need to empower ourselves with knowledge. He's got a live that he went on. You probably can find it on YouTube. People, brothers and sisters are posting it. I don't know, if it was on his Instagram or Twitter or whatever. I don't have either one of those apps where I'm following them like that. So, but I did see it on YouTube. Somebody uploaded it. But really empowering stuff, man. And shout out to the brother Jason Williams, also on ESPN, former NBA player. He's one of the only ones that I've heard of recent really standing on 10 toes and saying, you know what, this is BS what they doing to Kyrie. And I might get fired from it, from ESPN for what I'm about to say. And that's a quote. Some of y'all may have seen him. He called out a whole lot of people in regards to the hypocrisy of um, anti-Semitic and racial things going on. I know he called out Howard Stern, Don Imus, and some others, and just looked at the hypocrisy where, white privilege says, hey, you know what, it was jokes. You know, some may get a little fine, others may get suspended, but they're right back on the high horse, man, making money and doing what they do. Never were they put through 6 steps, 1 step, 2 steps, or 3 steps in order to rehabilitate themselves to come back and be public. I mean, look at Tropical Thunder, man. Robert Downey Jr. Was in blackface the whole movie. No outrage, no nothing, man. You know, this is what's going on right now. But we can't say a word in regards to when we're offended. We can't even stand up and say, you know what? No, I found research that says we are the people. You can't do that, man. That's hate speech, man. You're being anti-Semitic. You're being a black identity extremist. You're being a terrorist. Let me get back over to this. Okay. Verse 1, it says, this Simon, now of whom we spake afore, having been a betrayer of the money and of his country, betrayer of his country, slandered Onias. Oh, so now you got him out there slandering, talking against, making up lies, disparaging the man's character. As we just seen that he was a righteous upright man who was passionate about the laws of the Most High, who espoused evil, and now you got slanders coming up against him. Oh, that we got to defend what this idiot did, and this idiot did this, that, and the third. Oh, Kyrie is crazy. Kyrie's a little off. Kyrie doesn't research. You even had, man, what's the cat's name? Amari Stoudemire. He comes out against Kyrie, speaking, saying, I think Kyrie just spoke out of turn. He needs to properly vet his sources. He needs, and this is a dude who came out, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, was one of the first NBA players that popped up and was talking about we're the people of the book, man, and we're the Israelites, and was quoting Deuteronomy 28 and slave ships and all of that. He went viral for that. And then all of a sudden, you see him running around with the GMO small hats as if he converted. Went over there and played for Israel in the basketball team and all of that. They accepted him as a complete damn uh, um, convert. See, that's the thing with them, man. Any open debate, brothers and had all kind of debates, street debates, clubhouse, all this other stuff, man. And the small hat GMOs cannot dispute the information. The most that they will sit back and do is say, "Well, yeah, they're dark skinned Jews. We're willing to accept you guys." No, we don't look for your acceptance, man. You can't accept something that you don't own. You are not the people. Period. That's the most that they will negotiate is they will accept us. Just like they did the brothers and sisters over there in Demona. Oh, we'll accept you to come over here, but you can't come and live in Jerusalem. You can't. They've got them living on the outskirts, forbidding them to go to certain areas. We'll tolerate you niggas, but we won't accept you as being the people. Let's move on. So this Simon now of whom we spake afore, having been a betrayer of the money and of his country, slandered Onias as if he had terrified Heliodorus and been the worker of these evils. So slandered him, try to set up Onias, saying that he's the one that's trying to cause all kind of problems and disruptions within the nation. Verse 2, it says, "Thus he bold to call him a traitor, that he had deserved well of the city, and tendered his own nation, and was so zealous of the laws. But when their hatred went so far that by one of Simon's faction murders were committed, murders. This guy stirred up the pot so much, man, that he got a following that where people were willing to kill their own. Murders being committed because of jealousy, envy, money, status, right? Pleasing the white man, that murders were committed. Onias, seeing the danger of this contention, and that Apollonius, as being the governor of Celesyria and Phoenice, did rage and increase Simon's malice. So that's the coercion. All of them turned up against him. So Onias, Salakia, sees what's going on. He sees the contention. What did he do? He went to the king, not to be an accuser of his countrymen, so he still was honorable, and said, "I'm not going to go out here and accuse these guys of being evil and do nothing, man. All I want is peace." Look, but he didn't go up there snitching and that. He didn't do none of that. But seeking the good of all, both public and private, for he saw that it was impossible that the state should continue quiet and Simon leave his folly unless the king did not look there too. So he said, this guy Simon is not going to stop with his folly. He's not going to stop with his pursuit of trying to tear down Onias. He said, man, the only thing I can do is go to the king. Said, look, there's some trouble going on over here, man. We need to go ahead and find a peaceful solution. Reading verse 7. But after the death of Seleucus, when Antiochus called Epiphanes took the kingdom, Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. So now, remember in chapter 1 of First Maccabees, you hear about Antiochus called Epiphanes, 167 AD. He comes into power. I'm sorry, BC. 167 BC, Shalakin. He comes into power. Epiphanies, meaning power manifested. It said that when he came in, many evils were multiplied. And it already said that the earth was evil. And it said when he got into office, yeah, we might as well call office since we in the spirit of these elections going on. When he got in, it said many evils was multiplied. So now remember, Seleucus was favorable to Onias. Now that Seleucus is dead and out the way, you got this wicked king, Antiochus or Antiochus, called Epiphanes, took the kingdom, and Jason, the brother of Onias, labored underhand to be high priest. So here you had Simon coming up against Onias, and now Onias's own brother, Jason, is laboring underhanded, meaning what? He's doing undermining, he's doing wicked things, he's doing seditious things to try to overthrow his brother's um, office as being high priest. See how that works? Tear down your own to stay on top or to be on top. Promising unto the king by intercession 303 score talents of silver and of another revenue 80 talents. So he's telling the king, he said, look, I can buy my way into being high priest. Money will get me my position. So if I can promise you this particular tribute, I want to be high priest. See how money gets in the way? Verse 9. Besides this, he promised to assign 150 more if he might have license to set him up a place for exercise and for the training up of the youth and the fashions of the heathen. Oh, so now we're talking sports. He said, I'll give you another 150, boss, if you let me set up and give me a license to set up a place of exercise so I can, open up a gym and I can train these young cats, man, in the fashions of the heathen so they can get ready for the Olympics and they can go out there and represent Greece. Unreal. And to write them of Jerusalem by the name of the uh, Antiochians. So he was saying, I'll even change the name. These Jews, these cats that I'm gonna line up to be great athletes for the NBA, for the NFL. They're gonna represent your team, the Antiochians. Oh, the Nets. Oh, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Timberwolves. Oh, the Jazz, the Spurs. Feel me? Now look, which when the king had granted, and he had gotten into his hand the rule, he forthwith brought his own nation the Greekish fashions. Oh, put on the uniforms. Put on the uniforms. I love it. And the royal privileges granted a special favor to the Jews by the means of John, the father of Eupolemus, who went ambassador to Rome for amnesty and aid. He took away and putting down the governments which were according to the law. He brought up new customs against the law. For he built gladly a place of exercise under the tower itself, and brought the chief young men under his subjection and made them wear a hat. Now, such was the height of Greek fashions and increase of heathenish manners through the exceeding profaneness of Jason, that ungodly wretch and no high priest. So you see what happens when you got the wrong people in leadership, when they go out there and they profane the ways of the Most High, they speak against everything that's right, and they get people following after their ways. They become the voice boxes and the leaders of the blind, leading the blind, and everybody's falling into a ditch. That's why you see these cats, man, they get into the NBA and they start dressing all funny, i.e., Westbrook, Dwayne Wade, um, who else, man? Kyle Kuzma, all of these guys, man. Go look at them. Go look at some of the fashion statements that they've made over their careers. You know, wearing skinny jeans, man, pants up to the ankles, skirts, James Harden, all of this stuff, man. So this is what goes on. And this is why the so-called white man has these cats in place, because what does it do? Verse 14, that the priest had no courage to serve any more at the altar, but despising the temple and neglecting the sacrifices, hastened to be partakers of the unlawful allowance in the place of exercise after the game of discus called them forth. So what did they do? They start chasing after the sports. They left off of the laws. They start neglecting the sacrifices. They despise doing the works of the temple. And what they do, they want to start following after sports. All at the leadership of a jealous, wicked brother, envious of wanting to be high priest and want to usurp his brother Onias. So you see what happens, man. The backbiting, Uncle Tom, and the Coonan started a long time ago. I'm gonna end it there so I can get to some of these articles. I'm gonna end it there, right? But let's look at just some of these things, man, and we see the coonery that is taking place. Look at the hypocrisy. The internet is something else, boy. Undefeated, as they say. Some of y'all may have seen or heard about this. NBA fans find out Shaquille O'Neal's theater showed the documentary Kyrie Irving shared on social media. So Shaq's got a theater. He already showed the Hebrews, the Negroes, in his theater. Now, some may say, well, Shaq don't know what's going on in this theater. He didn't know they was playing it. Shaq got to have okay and know what's going on and playing in his theaters. I mean, it's his establishment. It's his business. How would you not know what's going on in there? And this was like 3 years ago. So the internet, again, being undefeated, people archived and showed the premiere of the movie being shown. And there's a picture floating around. I pray that it's authentic because it is going viral. You know how nowadays, man, I mean, when I seen the damn new Google camera where they can take a live picture and erase somebody up out the background, I mean, go figure. You can erase somebody out of a picture in real time. That somebody photo bombs your picture and they jump in the way and you can erase them out. I'm sure y'all seen the commercial. So photoshopping and deep fakes exists, but I pray that that picture that's floating around is real. The picture I'm talking about is Shaquille O'Neal in what looks like a restaurant or a bar with a group of Israelites. I believe the caption says Shaquille O'Neal's a hypocrite, blah blah blah. Here he is in a restaurant or a bar with some One West Israelites. It was sent to me. I don't have. I'm sure a lot of y'all may have seen it. Um, I don't know if I'm able. You know what? Let me see if I can. Let me see. Hold on. I might be able to send it to my computer from my phone if you haven't seen it. Because it only goes to show you, man, how these dudes is straight up hypocrites, man. Know the truth. I tell you a story, man. Years ago, I remember. Um, years ago, I remember. Brothers was out teaching in Compton, and uh, saw Shaquille O'Neal, and went to the car to give him some literature. He poked his lips out, shrugged his lips, and proceeded to roll the window up. So, Shaquille O'Neal at that particular time, he had an opportunity to receive the truth, right? But in our experience with him, he turned it down. So now we see an instance where uh now we see an instance where he's been seen out with Israelites, premiered an Israelite movie, but calls Kyrie an idiot for posting a link to the movie. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can find that picture. Shoot. Let me try one more time. Hold on. This thing didn't work. Let's see. Uh, yeah, it's lucky, y'all. I'm see. I know I done sent the thing to myself twice. Okay, now it wants to come up because I had to refresh it. Okay, Slacky. Let me see here now. Okay, shout out to my brother in the quad. And you see, he made a post of the whole thing, right? I don't think it's on Facebook, but here you go. Kyrie is an idiot. Then why does Shaq look so happy with these One West? It said One West Hebrew Israelite. Now, here you see him here. Like I said, this looks authentic to me. And tell me these aren't Israelites. right? And here he is, clear as day. I'm not sure what camp these brothers is from, but nonetheless, the internet again wins, and Shaq is found to be a damn fool. So let's look at this. Unless some NBA fans are living under a rock and paying no attention to the league, it's safe to say everyone has now heard about Kyrie Irving's latest controversy. The Brooklyn Nets star point guard finds himself in a bad spot after sharing something with a link to a documentary that contained anti-Semitic. We know all of that, right? All the backlash he faced, blah 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 blah. One of the players that have spoken about the issue with Shaquille O'Neal. In this typically candid style, Shaq spoke about the unnecessary nature of the whole ordeal and ended up calling Kyrie an idiot. But some sleuthing on Twitter has now uncovered a situation that may require Shaq himself to apologize. You think they are? No, they don't. This is already out. And if they press him, he's gonna say, I didn't know, I was unaware, I've got multiple businesses, I'm not regulating what's being shown in my theaters or not. So of course, if I was aware of this, I would have never allowed this. You already know what he's gonna say. So it says here the piece of media that shares the anti-Semitic beliefs was supposedly shown at a movie theater that Shaquille O'Neal owns. This means that Shaq might have profited from showing the film, something that Twitter fans showed out. So here you go, Larry Legend. He says, "Wait a minute. 3 years ago, Shaq's theater showed that documentary that Kyrie posted. Maybe Shaq should pay closer attention to his business interests." Boyce Watkins, he's laughing. It says when one player posts a H2N pic on Twitter gets criticized by another player who played the whole damn movie. I'm adding that in there. And look at this. Shaq talking about it hurts me. This is a quote what he said on TNT. It hurts me when it hurts me sometimes when we have to sit up here to talk about stuff that divides the game, that we got to answer for what this idiot has done. Now, mind you, he's talking about it hurt him. You know damn well this nigga ain't hurt. There's no emotional scars, ain't nothing going on with him. That's just BS to say. As much as this Negro, him and Charles Barkley be arguing and threatening each other on the damn show, and got divisiveness going on, and foolishness happening all the damn time. If you ever watch him, you be seeing them talking about. And matter of fact, him and Barkley and Shaq actually had a fight on court. So when they be sitting up there arguing and having they little talking points and debatable points, I've seen Shaq threaten him a few times. And you want to talk about things that divide the game? I mean, he's a hypocrite, man. He's a straight up coon, man. A Uncle Tom coon. And I used to like Shaq when he was playing ball back in the day. But now Shaq is in a lot. Shaq is a damn fool, man. Big old goofy idiot, man. Lurch from the Adams family at this point. Shaquille O'Neal is now the owner of the Cityplex 12 in Newark. Here it go right here. Here go Ron Dalton. He got Cineplex 12 Theater. Tri-State area. Now is your chance to see the second Hebrews and Negroes movie in Newark, New Jersey. So this is 2019. Hebrews and Negroes 2. Revelation Newark premiere. So I guess at this theater in Newark, New Jersey in 2019, 3 years ago, the advertisement was posted by Ron Dalton regarding the premiere of his movie at Saks Theater. So go figure, right? Go figure. I made mention of this last weekend about Shaq being caught in some street stuff in LA and wants to stand up there and act like he's some moral figure to stand on, man. This is a notorious, self-admitted fornicator and adulterer who's got a bad reputation in regards to moral matters, but he wants to be a voice against a brother who has no smut on his name legally or illegally, no smut on his name in regards to scandals. Only thing they can talk about Kyrie is him not getting poked in the arm, him talking about the flat earth, and now him talking about he's a Hebrew Israelite or he's got roots to being a Shemitic Hebrew people. But look at this. Shaquille O'Neal kidnapping case. Appeals court won't revive argument by record label partner. This is all this is from 2013, right? This is this article. This is I mean, Shaq got all kind of stuff going on, man. He was getting sued by one of his former business partners saying that Shaq had hired some IT guys, man, to plant child porn on his computer. Again, we know about Shaq's philandering, running around with multiple mistresses and baby mamas and the whole nine. But here he goes, got the nerve to want to stand up and want to talk about who's an idiot. So in this particular case, man, Shaq was dealing with some cats in the streets. One of the dudes from I ain't gonna speak on they I'm not gonna speak on what gang it was, but one of the dudes from the gang was getting into the record business. Supposedly he had some deal with bringing talent to Shaq. They would break bread. Shaq would profiteer off of the music thing. Things went left. Ray J's name is even involved as being one of the artists that was brought to Shaq. Shaq didn't pay up. So the brother that he was dealing with threatened to blackmail him about a sex tape. Supposedly, allegedly, uh, Shaq had hired some of the cats within the same gang to kidnap and do some damage to the brother that, you know, threatened him. So this is what this is about. And now the brother, there's a whole thing about the brother that got caught up, man. He snitched and did all kind of. Who knows? That's all street stuff that doesn't even matter. The big deal is that the brother finally got out of jail. He wanted to sue Shaq, and because of statute of limitation, Shaq got off, man. And lo and behold, shortly after that, Shaq was traded to the Miami Heat. He had to get up out of L.A. Traded to Miami Heat, and then continued on moving around, man. So Shaq is out there philandering with gangsters in the streets, playing big boy games. But Kyrie is an idiot, though. Kyrie is the idiot, though, right? Um, where is it at? Like, look at this. 2 years ago, so this is 2011. The TNT basketball analyst was able to beat in court a man by the name of Robert Ross, who allegedly struck an oral agreement in 2007 whereby Ross would bring singers with other musical artists to Shaq's record label to return of 50% of the subsequent profits. We'll read on down. It says Shaq refused to pay up. Ross told Shaq he possessed a sex tape that showed him with a mistress. So allegedly, Shaq directed members of a gang to kidnap Ross in order to obtain the sex tape. Here's the full story of what purportedly happened. So they got a link for the story and why a judge refused to entertain it. In short, the lawsuit was barred with a statute of limitations. So it wasn't that he didn't do it. It was the fact that the lawsuit came too late for the particular charge, right? So Shaq has been involved with some real unsavory characters, unsavory moral judgments. You dig? But now he wants to be the one that wanted to go out there and wave the flag about who's an idiot and who's got smart judgment going on in their lives and who doesn't. Get the hell out of here, man. Disgusting. Disgusting. Look at this guy. Let's look at Charles Barkley. How about him? This article just summed up all of his stuff. He's a bald Peter Pan in Nikes who never grew up. How NBA bad boy Charles Barkley's career soared despite fights on the court, spitting on an 8-year-old girl. Do we want to talk about that? No, no, no. Who's the idiot again? How NBA bad boy Charles Barkley's career soared despite fights on the court, spitting on an 8-year-old girl and having a big mouth that got him in more trouble than Kyrie Irving. Hello. Biography reveals a new book, Barkley, a biography on former basketball star Charles Barkley, details the ups and downs of his successful NBA career. Author, I'm gonna read down here. Author Timothy Bella, a Washington Post journalist, writes that Barkley is seen as the best player in history of the league to never win a championship. On the court, he was fined tens of thousands of dollars. I don't know about Kyrie's fines and suspensions, But he's gotten fines for standing on moral grounds, not because of fighting, not because of arguing with refs, not because he was a troublemaker on the court, i.e., Charles Barkley's career. He spit on an 8-year-old girl during a game and got into fights with his opponents. Barkley threw a man through a window during a bar fight, joked about beating his wife, and was arrested several times. Hello, hello. Can we talk straight here? Can we find out really who's the idiots? But see, these are the type of niggas that the white man wants to put up there to be talking heads and be moral authorities and try to tell our people, stand behind our talking heads. These are the guys who you guys love. TNT, yeah. Don't you love the banter between Chuck and Kenny and Shaq? And what's the Edomite's name? Ernie? Don't you guys love it? Let these guys be the mouthpieces. You know, Shannon Sharp, he came out tiptoeing and tap dancing and, condemning the film and condemning Kyrie and self-admittedly said he hadn't seen it or read the book, but got a mouthful to say. And then he had to backtrack and say, you know what? Yeah, actually, you know, I don't agree with these 6 steps, man. He didn't apologize. He paid the money. Now they're openly trying to castrate it. Well, Negro, you played a part in him having to even go that far. You played a part in the open castration of the brother, man. Just by speaking on what you self-admittedly didn't know about. Didn't have you don't even know about this knowledge, man. You should have gracefully bowed out and said, I haven't seen the information that he's speaking on. I'm not qualified to talk about it. What I do know is that Kyrie is a public figure. And if after I find through my research that something was anti-Semitic or something wasn't right on this, then I will speak on it at that particular point in time. Until then, no comment. That's what you're supposed to do. But no, 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 no. Your little white handlers go out there and say, make sure you eviscerate this dude. Make sure you tear his a whole new a-hole. You understand? And now he want to backtrack and say, oh yeah, they're going too far now. See, it's a little too late now. Jason, Menelaus, Simon. I mean, you're the Three Stooges, man. That's these cats right now. Look at this. Last week, Barkley called Kyrie Irving an idiot for letting his anti-Semitic views be known despite his own controversies. So again, even this article is clearly pointing out uh, the hypocrisy of Charles Barkley, right? Let's look at some more hypocrisy. One of the watchdogs. Now you notice, man, the white man, the FBI and the governments, they're going to the ADL, man. They're going to the ADL a little bit more when they used to rely on the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Southern Poverty Law Center is notorious for trying to slander the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites. Man, they got all of us listed on there, all the camps and all of the so-called ideologies. They put us out there, share the information with the government, share their findings with the ADL. These are the Anti-Defamation League is the ADL. These are the cast, man, who are the watchdogs who go out there sleuthing around, setting up and putting in agents, combing through all social medias and websites and taking pictures out on the streets. And they got my son in the damn SPLC website as they sleuthing around taking pictures on the streets when brothers is out teaching. I believe that's the SPLC, or it could be the ADL, one of the two. All I know is they got him when he was younger, out on the streets. But look at this, SPLC president, and I remember bringing this out more than 3 years ago, because this was the article from 2019. I remember bringing this out when I was doing a current event class, showing the hypocrisy of these people, man. And you know what these allegations are? Misconduct, racism and sexual misconduct in the workplace. Racism. These are the same people who run around here funded by the GMO small hats and being headed up by GMO small hats, being complete hypocrites, talking about somebody else being racially insensitive and being cult like and all of that. Look at this. Let's revisit this. The president of the Southern Poverty Law Center announced on Friday that he'll be stepping down just a week after the co founder of a civil rights group was ousted. Just a week after the co founder of the civil rights group was ousted for alleged misconduct, according to reports. Richard Cohen, GMO Small Hat by name, who has headed the center since 2003, announced in a statement on Friday that a board-led search was underway to find his successor in order to give the organization the best chance to heal. And they ended up putting in a token sister. She was the interim, president. That's how they smooth things over. I'll put a black woman in there, not a black man. Put the black woman in there. Create more strife and division. Break the ranks of order. Cohen also took responsibility for the center's recent misgivings, including internal complaints about racial disparity within the organization's ranks, according to the LA Times. Whatever problems exist at the SPLC happened on my watch, so I take responsibility for them, Cohen said in the statement. Last week, Morris Dees, the co-founder of Southern Poverty Law Center, was abruptly axed. On Thursday, a senior member of the group's legal team stepped down. Internal emails obtained by the Los Angeles Times lauded Dees' contributions to the $450 million nonprofit, but hinted at inappropriate conduct as the reason for his firing. So, can we say, without a shadow of a doubt, that there is a witch hunt that's going on against not only Kyrie, but against the Hebrew Israelite community as a whole? Whether you're in a camp, congregation, and some of the ones that's out there, compromised or following after the small hats, because even that was part of the oh shoot, you know what? No, let me show this. Uh, these same small hat wicked. Okay, this reminded me. No, this is how they changed up. It used to be black Hebrew Israelites. So they heard everything their brothers were saying. No more black. Stop calling us black. There ain't no such thing as black. Blah blah blah. So now, what did the SPLC do? The same group who had their own issues of misconduct, inappropriate misconduct, racial disparity. I mean, how the hell is anybody even listening to these people, man? Allowing these people to have any authority in regards to truth. Here he goes right here. SPLC co-founder fired amid gender and race complaints. This guy and his cohort, a GMO small hat, controlling the narrative again, as usual. But here, look at this. So they've changed the classification of Israelite. And this is why I said our whole community is under fire. It doesn't matter if you're over there sliding over there saying, "Oh, I'm not in the camp. I'm not in. I don't do that. I don't do that. I'm not extreme like those guys." You still are going to be looked at the same way. But look at how they try to give them a pass. And this is why you're going to see some of our own is really going to try to make that separation by saying what I said. Look at this. Radical Hebrew Israelites. Since the late 1960s, the radical Hebrew Israelites ideology splintered to form increasingly anti-Semitic, anti-white, anti-LGBTQ, xenophobic, misogynistic sector groups. I mean, they're just saying we hate everybody. Everybody. uh Sector groups who preach they and only they are the true Israelites of the Bible and perpetuate the anti-Semitic belief that so-called Jews have stolen their identity and birthright. So how is this anti-Semitic? How is that anti-Semitic? A belief that the so-called Jews have stolen their identity and birthright. Again, they don't want to debate what's being said. They don't even want to debate this term alone. Anyway, okay. Look at this. Is they got a picture of these look like brothers from uh UPK probably. But look at this disclaimer. SPLC uses the term radical Hebrew Israelite to differentiate from the greater Hebrew Israelite faith. So you see that? This is how they create the separation. So again, white man comes in and says who is and who isn't, who's acceptable and who's not. So they come in with these weaponized terms. So no longer they saying black Hebrew Israelites because they heard the outrage and they heard everybody saying, knock it off. That's slander. That's not true. Blah blah blah. So now what they do? Now they put in the disclaimer. SPLC uses the term radical Hebrew Israelites to differentiate from the greater Hebrew Israelite faith. Hebrew Israelites should not be confused with black Jews or Jewish individuals of color. Oh, so the radical Hebrew Israelites can't be confused with the black Jews or the Jewish individual of color. Remember, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. They're saying that the black Jews or Jewish individuals of color, those are the ones who the small hat GMO cats have accepted and said, here, put on a yarmulke, come to temple, speak Yiddish, you know, wear your black suit. You feel me? Those are the ones who are saying those guys are okay. Those other guys with the fringes and those other guys standing on the corners and those other guys doing all that. No, no, no. Those are the radical ones. SPLC no longer refers to these groups as solely black Hebrew Israelites, as there are Latin and indigenous members of these groups, and there are non-radical sects, non-radical, non-threatening. These guys play by the rules. These are the guys who the small hats have accepted. Non-radical sects of the Hebrew Israelite faith who identify as black Hebrew Israelites. So you see how they already, they slide in more division. This is why you got brothers and sisters out there that hang their hats on. Oh, I'm not in the camp. I don't do that. I'm not with those guys. Yeah, I watch their videos and I learn stuff from them, but I don't do that. Similar to how Peter denied Christ. Not putting it in those terms, but as an example, when Yahweh told Peter, he said, before the cock crows 3 times in the morning, you're going to deny me thrice. And he said, no, no, no. And when they grabbed up Yahweh and they was arresting him, and Peter was talking with a sister, and she said, hey, aren't you with them? He said, no, no, I'm not with them. Y'all remember that? So the SPLC now has put themselves in authority to say who's an acceptable Israelite and who's not. But they can't even get their own house clean, man. Let's look at this real quick. Here's the old FBI declassified document. Intelligence report, black identity extremists likely motivated to target law enforcement officers. This was from 2017. I remember I brought this out then, 5 years ago. How just the term alone, a black identity extremist, black identity, the fact that you want to know who you are, that you want to identify yourself is considered extreme. By name alone, how they slap another byword on us, you're being extreme, right? Here's the FBI report, runs down all of the case studies, everything that they what they're qualifying as an extremist, what's not, why they're saying that they're going to target the police. Well, who's the greatest identity activist out there besides us? Nobody. The Hebrew Israelite community are the greatest activists when it comes to identity, with the exception of maybe the Moors. Now you got the Aboriginal community that rose up over the last 5 to 8 years. But we were the stalwarts in leading the charge and identifying who we are, man. Look at this. New terrorism guide shows FBI still classifying black extremists as domestic terrorism threat. So they must changed. They must change, man. So I say this to say, it's disgusting how our people are still bending over, man, grabbing their ankles, asking for more from their white zaddies, man, and can't stand on their feet like men. They knuckle dragging, they slithering around on their bellies, man, and they can't stand up and say, you know what, nah, we're not gonna put our brother through it like that, man. I'm not gonna add on to it. And that's what I salute Jason Williams for doing, because he said, man, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not playing that game. And he said, if they don't like it, I don't give a damn no more. When you hear a brother say that, I don't care anymore, that means that there was a fear, that there was an instance that made him hesitant to speak out when it came down to justice, truth, equality, so forth and so on. Now he's overcame his fears, man. LeBron then came out and condemned Kyrie. I mean, the Coons and the real ones, the lines is being drawn. Jalen Brown, the brother from the Celtics, I think that's the name, Jaden or Jalen Brown. Uh, he's the president of the players union. He said that they're going to appeal that suspension because they found that it ain't fair, and he's standing by Kyrie. He's got that power to do so because he's the president of the players union. So we're gonna see how hard they fight to get Kyrie back on the court. But you know, as far as I'm concerned, man, Kyrie's done a great job on not completely bending over. He did apologize. He paid the 500 racks, and but what he didn't do was denounce his beliefs, his identity, and his research in regards to the definition of anti-Semitic. He said, I'm not apologizing for that because I'm not anti-Semitic. Do the knowledge and figure out why I can't apologize for something that isn't true. That's what he's standing on, and he should. We know that he's not motivated by money. He said he lost almost $100 million last year just from the refusal of getting poked in the arm. So he's a man of integrity and principle, it seems. And he knows that $500,000 is going to get written off on taxes. So that's how the business works, man. You've reached another episode, man. DSTM 162, man. All praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh Shai, man. If you haven't wiped your feet, man, wipe your feet, man. Make sure you go share this video, man. Share this video, like it. If you're new to the channel, you just figuring out what's going on over here, man. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, man. Hopefully, the video will get out there and circulate. If not, it's only meant for those who's looking. It's only meant for the ears who's meant to hear. You dig? So other than that, man, always remember, fear the Most High, keep the commandments. But lastly, don't shoot the messenger.